Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of, I'm getting feedback. I'm sorry. Hi, let's try that again. Hi everyone, welcome to Spiritual Cafe Live, where we walk together and support each other on the path to becoming more spiritually aware, enlightened, and inspired. My name is Laura Wooster, and I'm your host for tonight. And I've got a wonderful guest that I invited on because I don't know why, but I just resonated with something that I don't even know how we got connected actually, which is interesting. But as soon as I saw your face and I read a little bit about you, I said, I've got to have you on. I've got to have you on. So my guest tonight is Julie Moore, an author of the Pet Soul book. And I gotta say, I started to read it this weekend, and I just passed the 1 year anniversary of my Sydney's passing. She was a black lab. We had to let her go last December, and the December before. And I gotta say, I started crying two pages into this book because it really felt like I was sitting with a dear friend, and you were holding space for me as I was remembering my beautiful black lab that was a big part of our family for over a decade. So I gotta say, I think it was just divine timing, honestly. But welcome, Julie. Welcome, and thank you for agreeing to be on and to chat with everybody tonight.
Oh, thank you for having me on the show, and I'm sending you light and love for having that kind of very spiritual moment with the book and thinking of your pet, and that's amazing. Good. That's one of the reasons why I wrote the book that we'll talk about later.
Absolutely. And I love this. This book is so well, I mean, it's just beautifully done. It's just beautifully done. It really is. Good job. High five on that one.
Thank you so much. Wow.
So Julie, what is your background? What brought you before you wrote the book? What brought you to that?
Well, I've spent 30 years in the mental health field. I am a certified high school counselor. I've been working with high schoolers for 24 going on 25 years. And I've just found that, I love working with teenagers. They're such little sponges. They really want more wisdom and knowledge, and they really do keep me young too. So prior to that, I did some mental health work with adults and families, but really my heart is with teenagers, and it's every day it's a new exciting chapter in that. And I think that I learned just as much from them as they do from me. So it's been really great, really good journey with that.
I can imagine. That must be such it must be very soul nurturing to actually help young people.
Yeah,
really needed
the connections that you build with them, and having that honor to be a little bit part of their journey in life is just, I feel really honored to be able to do that kind of work. So yeah, I love it.
And how long has it been, did you say, that you've been doing that work, counseling?
It's been 25 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Wow. So what is your connection to animals? I mean, obviously, from reading your book, you've had quite a few animals in your life that you have a soul connection with.
Oh, well, it all started with when I was 13 years old. My parents bought our family pet, and he was this handsome, sweet little gray schnauzer named Max that really, stole our hearts, and we just absolutely love him and loved him. And the thing is, he was always somebody that I felt like was sort of a person trapped in a dog's body, because we had this really strong connection. And I would talk to him, when kids are young. I mean, sometimes, that animal is your best friend and you just absolutely adore them. So so I was away at college when he passed, and we were really close, but he kind of started my journey with animals. And now I am a show person. I show champion basset hounds. I do a little bit of breeding, and I just love that. We brought a beautiful litter of 10 puppies into the world this summer, and they're all in their forever homes right now. We're showing them and enjoying the show business with them. I have 5 basset hounds at home right now, a couple of champions, a grand champion, and those 2 puppies. I just feel like, when you really find your bliss, it's the best thing. And it was a little bit of a challenge for me to do that initially. I was in my 40s. I said, I really still, people are talking about finding their bliss and finding the thing that they should be doing. And I absolutely loved my job as a school counselor, but I wanted to find something more. And so the first time, a cute story, I went to a dog show. I don't even remember how I got there, but I went to this dog show, and I just remember smiling from the moment I got there to the moment I left. And I knew I had to be a part of that. So that kind of started my journey doing show stuff and having fun with dogs and everything. And that's a little bit of the part of how the book came into being. So
obviously you have a wonderful connection with dogs in particular, and being with the community. I mean, my sense is that by the first few pages, the way that you communicate with your animals is just like you're talking to a human.
And some people might think that's a little odd.
I know, not at all.
But I just feel like they are little beings, they're little souls, and we connect with them. And we'll talk a lot more about that a little bit later in the show. But why not do that? I mean, it's the way that you build that connection. And even though we're going to be talking a lot tonight about what happens when your pet is getting ready to pass, it's important to kind of nurture that commitment to them, that connection with them, the communication with them from the time that they're puppies until the time that they're getting ready to make their transition. And so that will make the transition with their passing that much more meaningful, and getting to some of the good stuff we're going to talk about in just a little bit. But nurturing that, and if you're talking to your babies and, enjoying that part of it, that's all part of building that connection with them.
So for someone who may be bringing a brand new puppy into their home and they want to build that soul connection with them from the get-go, what's some advice that you can give them?
Oh boy, that's great. A lot of touching, a lot of talking to them, spending time. I mean, the kind of things that people do. And the beauty of puppies and any small and young animal is they are made to be cute right away, because that helps the connection with them. So I have Woody and Violet, who are just 7 months old now. And I was just telling my dad last night when I was chatting with him that he's just like the cutest basset I've ever seen, in this cute little face. And it's so easy to build a connection with something that you feel like is sweet, cute, loving. You have to do all the other stuff too, the training and making sure they're doing all the things they need to do to be a responsible pet. But when they first come on the scene and they're first born, it's really important to have a lot of touching and tactile kinds of stuff going on. There's, I don't know if I'm going to remember it right away, but there was a program that I used when they were first born, and you do a lot of sensory stuff with them to start building some of their, the things that are going on in the brain and that type of thing. So I think it's really easy. It's really easy to do that.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, especially when you just love dogs anyways. I mean, I've always found it easy myself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So what brought you to write this book? What inspired?
Well, that's a fantastic question. I've got to say that I'm just so proud of it.
You should be. You really should be.
Thank you so much. I feel like it was something that really was born from me. And I know that sometimes when you're talking about letting go of your pet when it's time, it's kind of a somber subject. But there are 84 million pets in the world. And that's not just dogs, but cats and birds and fish and gerbils and horses and, anything that anybody can imagine. But folks are going to need soothing when it comes to that transition period. So I feel like this is a book of hope. And the Pet Soul book was actually inspired to help soothe and comfort people through this time when it's really difficult. And the story of how the book was inspired was I was actually talking to several friends of mine who really were having a difficult time going through the grieving process after their pet had passed. And one particular friend of mine said to me, you know, my cat passed away 16 years ago, and sometimes in the mornings I still cry. And then another friend of mine said, my dog passed away 2 years ago, and I'm still crying every day. And I thought, you know, our pets are here to bring us joy and to bring us unconditional love. And I really felt like they wouldn't want somebody to be grieving that long over their loss, if you will. But they really want you to remember the beautiful times you had together, those fun times in the park, the times when you were crying and you needed comfort and, you know, your cat was sitting right there, you know, nuzzling your neck, or you had that wonderful ride on your horse and you kind of nuzzled their neck. You know, those are the types of things that I believe that our pets want us to remember and feel. Certainly we'll talk about the grieving process a little bit, and you don't want to bypass that part, but you also don't want to be living in that space for months, years, and then sometimes 16 years in the case of that one friend. So that was, I just felt like that this book needed to happen in order to soothe those folks a little and help them move through the grieving process a little more quickly and gently, so that they're going to feel better sooner. And when I realized that my spiritual feelings about life and death helped me do that, not only for my pets' deaths, but also for the passing of significant human beings in my life, I knew that I had something inside that I could share with others that would help them. So that was really important. So the actual day when this was born, I was sitting in my meditation chair in my bedroom, and after a meditation session, I just had an inspired thought. I thought, you know, I love animals. I have a lot of expertise around the grieving process and counseling, and let's put those two things together, and maybe I can, you know, have something created that's going to be really good. So it just seemed like a natural progression for some of the work that I've been doing all my life. I was a counselor, I was a pet enthusiast. I always wanted to write a book. And so when the inspiration revealed itself, I knew it was important to bring those thoughts and ideas to fruition, especially to the people that really desperately needed them. So the wonderful thing about a book being inspired is that the information tends to really flow through you to the page. But I have to say that I worked very, very closely with my writing coach. This is my first book. I have a wonderful writing coach named Jared Rosen of Dream Sculpt Media, who helped me immensely along the way. And then these wonderful cherished support people, Mary Bob Straub, Bill Scarcliffe, Lynn Kitchen, and Jared through Dream Sculpt. All of them together were like my support and moving me forward to make sure that this book really happened. So I just have so much, I just thank them all so much for really helping me bring this book, not only for myself, but for the world and to help eventually help people.
Oh yeah, it's definitely going to help people, there's no doubt. And this and everything that's in here absolutely could work for the human to human connection as well, not just humans to pets. It's definitely, because I, you know, being a medium myself, I was just talking about this on my radio show with my guest today, is that our loved ones in spirit want us to be happy, just like our pets want us to be happy. And they're happy when we're happy because they're experiencing our soul, our joy. So yeah, it's exactly the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And so even though the book is focused around the grieving process and working through those feelings about your pets, I think that as people embrace some of these ideas, and some of them are new, and some of them may push some folks to their maybe not as far as they really want to go, and that's okay too. And I mentioned that in the book several times, that if you can't quite go that far, that's okay. Go as far as you can, but ultimately the thought is that you're going to really make a transition of thought and belief to get to a point where you're appreciating the relationship that you had, and you're remembering the lovely relationship that you had. And although there are bittersweet moments to that, it's really what your pet really wanted for you, is to be joyful again and to remember them with joy.
What kind of advice can you give to someone who maybe they may be a year or two beyond, even or more, and still grieving their pet, and then people around them are saying, "Can't you get over it yet? It's just a dog." Like, what
Oh,
kind of,
yeah,
and I've heard people actually experience that. What kind
absolutely.
of advice can you give to someone who has people saying that to them?
Well, first of all, you do have to make, and typically when people have pets, they do have a pet community. They either have several friends that have their cats, or they have, their dog people, or their horse people. And so the easiest thing to do is just, find that support system that you already have in place. And I mentioned that in the book several times. Get with those understanding pet friends who really know, what you're going through. They've been through that before. And with somebody that really doesn't understand, then you're not going to have that conversation with them, because they mean well, but they may just not understand. So that's okay.
Yeah.
But find that support system that you already have in place, and they're all over the place. And of course, we have Facebook now, and Twitter and Instagram, and there are groups out there, wonderful support groups. I've looked at quite a few of them. And if you just need to just get out your feelings, that's the perfect place to do that. You don't even have to ask for advice or ask for comments or what have you. To say, I just want to journal a little bit online about my experience. But there are several other things that folks can do. I mean, they can journal, they can do a ritual of some sort, they can build an altar, they can do many things. And a lot of those different ideas and things are in the book as well, to kind of bring them through a process if they want to do that. I do want to say that I think that folks will learn that when it's close to the time and they're trying to make a decision about it's so important to make sure that you're, and I always get this wrong for some reason, but you're one day too early instead of a few days too late. And there's a lot of guilt around that and all that type of thing. But I've got to say, a couple of months ago, I just had my oldest Basset, Winnie, transition to non-physical. And she passed away at the beginning of November. She was my first show dog. Very difficult because there weren't really any clear-cut signs. It's just that she started going down a little bit and wasn't acting herself. So even somebody that has written a book about transitioning to the non-physical, I still found myself thumbing through the pages of my book, remembering some of the things, and remembering my belief system and how it relates to thinking of things differently, and having some new thoughts about how to think about the death process, how to think about the grief process. So that really helped me get through the passing and the grieving stage. But you're still going to have those moments where you're going to have those grief bursts. Yeah. And you've got to allow that. That's a part of the healing process that human beings need to go through.
Okay, so it's perfectly normal, because I'm still, even after a year, I'm still have my moments where, yeah. And I just have that moment where, like, I just remember, it's like, Sydney would have loved this and Sydney would have loved that. And yeah. I just want to say, someone has mentioned there's a high-pitched dinging sound that they keep hearing. Do you have a text coming in or something? Or
that could be, but I'm just not sure how to turn that off. I took out the message portion of it, so it shouldn't be coming in. But for some reason, when people are texting, it's coming in for some reason.
Oh, okay, maybe
over my computer. Yeah, sorry about that.
It's all right. Okay, as long as people can still hear you, that's all that matters.
Right.
So I know that's something you would like. You always suggest, or you were suggesting that in the book that you don't want people to look at it as a loss. You wanted to
Yeah.
rephrase it. Why would you want to do that?
Well, I think that most people feel like when their pet dies, it's lost forever. And from a physical standpoint, it is that they're not in the physical. But the purpose of the book is if we can start making the shift to think of a pet as a spiritual being, having a canine, feline, avian experience, then folks could move more quickly to their thoughts of loss of that physical to wonderful memories that they shared together. Because my feeling is in the way that it has helped me deal with my feelings of grief and loss is that if you know that your pet is a spiritual being having a human experience, then they've just changed form. So they've gone from this physical existence to a spiritual existence. And then the key to that is recognizing that and beginning to find ways to communicate with that spiritual essence as opposed to the physical essence. So, I mean, I've said this before that our pets bring us, positive regard and unconditional love. And they don't care when you walk out of your bedroom if you have bedhead or your mascara is running or you have bad breath. They're just really happy to see you. So, and they're the purest form of unconditional love. So when folks can start shifting and seeing their pets as that spiritual being, that's when they can start feeling like, okay, they're not gone. They're not lost. There is a loss that you're going to feel about that physical presence of them. But I'm going to start shifting those thoughts to how do I connect with the spiritual essence of my pet now? And that has really helped me. And I know that there's a lot of folks in your audience that already embrace that idea that we are eternal beings as human beings. But I would like to say that, pets, animals are eternal beings also. They have consciousness. They are the bastion of unconditional love. I just can't stop saying that enough. They're the ones that teach us that. And so with that, I just feel like folks will learn to make that shift using the book. And that is the thing that makes it different. And it's really interesting when I look at Facebook and I do see folks that are posting about the transition of their pets into non-physical and their passing. So many people will say, well, I'm just so sorry for your loss. And the intention is beautiful and the intention is very heartfelt. But I would challenge that folks start thinking about writing something along the lines of sending light and love for your comfort and peace, as opposed to reinforcing the idea of the loss. And that way, again, you're helping your friend shift from the grief of the loss of the physical to the now connection of their pet's essence in the spiritual. And I just love that idea.
That's beautiful. That's so much better than repeating the word loss over and over again. What are some tips that you can give people to start to make that connection after their pet has transitioned?
That's a good question. I feel like some of the things in the book that I mentioned are things like creative visualization. I recall after the story of Moselle and Flash in the book in the first chapter, when I'm sitting in my living room and I'm having these conversations with them while they were still living, and then afterwards continuing to do that after they've passed into non-physical, you start imagining their presence, and those imagination, those exercises of imagination and creatively visualizing their presence, you're kind of drawing that energy into yourself. So I'll never forget, after Moselle had passed away, I was walking down the halls of my high school, and I was walking to the teacher's lounge to have lunch. And I just started imagining as I was walking that Moselle was walking right beside me. And although I didn't feel her physical presence, it just brought me so much peace and joy and comfort having that particular, exercise going down to the teacher's lounge. And it made me feel so good. Some other things that you can do is, as I mentioned, you can start building an altar and putting like little sacred pieces that you had, maybe the pet's collar or a treat that they loved, a toy that they loved, all of those types of things. And then it brings you closer to the thoughts and the feelings and the beliefs around your pet's existence. So anything that you can do, which is connecting sort of with that quiet, small voice, and that quiet, you can close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing that, and imagining their physical presence with you. That's going to bring you closer to a connection. And one other thing, and again, there are going to be some folks that might feel like, well, this may be a little outside my comfort zone. And if it is, that's fine. But there are some wonderful animal communicators who their business is to assist in not only communicating with your pet while they're living, but also assisting people in connecting with their pet after they've transitioned to non-physical. And I do have a interview with one of them in the book, and she's absolutely incredible. And it's a wonderful connection and conduit to get to that place. And then she also has a book herself, which allows you to learn how to communicate with your pets yourself. So she's saying, I can do this, but I would rather teach you how to do it yourself. And I think that's awesome when you can do that.
Yeah, definitely. And I completely agree with you, because that's just like a mediumistic connection as well between human to human. Sometimes people might think they're making it up. A lot of times they just feel like making it up. But there's a point where even if you're imagining, your dog walking beside you, at some point you'll start to actually feel their essence with you, because there is a tie there between the imaginative mind and the intuitive mind. It's actually almost the same. So sometimes it may feel like you're making it up at first, but eventually you'll start to feel their presence. And I love that. That you suggest that, because it does make sense to me in my mind anyways.
Yeah. And I agree with that. I think that, using your imagination to bring forth the things that you want, it's the idea of, abundance consciousness and all of that. Why not? And some people will say, well, it's only your imagination. You thought you felt that, but you really didn't. But why not believe it? If it's going to bring you joy in your life, isn't that why we're all here? We're here to experience joy, to experience things. So if we're in a spot of pain and a spot of grief, anything that can move us, definitely going through the process is important, as I've mentioned before, but moving through the process more gently and smoothly and with more peace to get to that joyful place again, that's really why we're here. So if it takes a bit of imagination to bring that forward, that's sort of the mental exercises and the emotional exercises that you're going to be using to help in that process to get you to that place of more joy. So I love that idea, and I believe in that idea. And if folks are feeling like, an animal communicator isn't going to work for them right now, I think that starting a little smaller and starting with the imaginative process is going to be great for them.
Absolutely. And I mean, I know a lot of people who have such a strong connection with their pet that there's a telepathic connection with them.
Yeah.
And it's almost like we can hear them speaking to us in our heads. Yeah, and that doesn't change. And when they leave the physical body, we can still speak to their soul that same exact way. Mm-hmm. It just sometimes we think we're making it up because we don't have the expressions of them looking at us and tilting their heads at the same time. That may be gone, but you can still have that telepathic connection.
Yeah, and the memories. As you're remembering your pet, that's going to be helping you with the imaginative process also. That's great.
Absolutely. And Paula said, I feel my cat jump on my bed during times of stress for me. She will come to visit. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, Paula, thank you for bringing that up, because that reminds me, and it is another story in the book, that when I typically start my day in the morning very early, and I leave myself enough time to have a little time, about 5 or 10 minutes of meditation. And one day I was sitting in my meditation chair, and I felt a weight on my lap, and my Moselle and Flash had just transitioned in non-physical, probably about 4 or 5 months earlier. And he had been on my lap before, and your dog. And I knew that was him. And what was so glorious about the whole experience was that I just sat there very quietly, because I didn't want the experience to go away. It was so great. I just said, oh my gosh, hi Flash, how's it going? And it was wonderful. So, Paula, hit the nail on the head with that. During times when you feel like you need that soothing, because there is such a deep level of emotion at that moment, very often that'll be the time when you might draw those feelings and those experiences to you also. So that was great. Thank you, Paula.
And they can visit in dreams too.
Yes, they can. They can.
Yeah, I had that experience with my Sydney the same week that she crossed, and it was just and dream visits are so vivid, and they're just so present. It's almost like an astral vision. It's very different from a normal dream, but she came in and into my room when I was, and it was just as I woke up, which is the synchronicity is amazing. I love how spirit works. Just when I woke up after this dream, I was getting a phone call that her ashes were ready to be picked up. And I knew I'd have a difficult time receiving that phone call. And the fact that she visited me in a dream just before that happened was it just shows how amazing spirit is and it's an intelligent spirit,
Absolutely. And see how she came to comfort you at that moment. That was absolutely perfect. I love that.
Yeah, and I totally didn't even expect. I mean, I figured someday she may reach out and say hello, but I didn't expect it to happen that quickly. I'm still in awe that it happened.
And those are the kind of things. I mean, what that reminds me of is that I love signs. And what I have found is during times that I'm feeling a little bit stressed or what have you, I will see signs of different things. So what's really cool is I'll be driving along, and I had one of my husbands passed away several years ago, and he had a real connection with a particular truck that he owned. And at certain times, I will see a truck that's similar to that at a time when I feel like, I need a little comforting push or what have you. And I think that that same thing happens with our pets. If you start expecting and looking for signs, then that's when you're going to start seeing it. And so if you can get yourself to a point where you really feel like and you're ready and willing to be open enough to feel those things and to see those things, you're going to start seeing them more and more. And so I'm just like delighted every day. It's like, what's going to show up today? Is it going to be a sign from one of my transition pets, or is it going to be a sign from, one of my, lovely human folks that have made their transition? And, people will talk all the time about, a cardinal is a sign of somebody who's passed over. And why not believe that? I just, when you see that and it gives you comfort, that's what it's all about. So,
exactly. Yeah. And even if you're not 100% sure, I always say, if you think that your father sent you the cardinal, say, thanks, Dad. If that was you, I saw it. Thank you. Keep doing that. Just affirm it. And
absolutely.
And like you said, we know who our loved ones, we know what they feel like. We know their essence. So I know people have seen those things and then they felt the essence of their loved one with them. And it's just between those two, the visual plus the sense of that, it's powerful. Yeah,
It
nobody
is.
can deny that.
It is.
um,
It is.
oh, this is Doris. This is very interesting. So Doris says, my mom's dog gave me a message for her and my brother through a meditation, thanking them for taking care of him when he got sick.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah,
That's
it's
powerful.
beautiful. Thank you, Doris, for
Yeah,
sharing that. That's
absolutely.
another way to connect with them is through meditation.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Because you're making connection with spirit when you're in meditation, and it quiets yourself and it opens you up to be able to experience things that maybe we don't experience with our five senses. I mean, I've always truly believed that we are more than our five senses. And if you can open yourself to the possibility of that, then you're just going to have all these synchronistic events that you mentioned, and beautiful signs that you'll see, and neat experiences. And again, it's to help you discover and experience more joy, because we really are all one and we're all made of the same stuff. So why are we necessarily gone or lost once we make our transition? We're just transitioning into a different form. And so the challenge comes with maybe moving back away from some of our senses and allowing some of the ultrasensory things to assist us with having some of these really cool experiences that just validate those things for us. And after they happen enough, you start realizing that sign is mom, or that sign is your beloved dog or beloved cat. And then every time you see that sign, there's that comfort and that joy that comes from that. So that's part of the reason I wrote the book, and the book is here, is to take folks through the beginning stages where they're discovering that they feel a void in their life, and then they're recognizing what they need to do, and then they make their decision, they work through their grief, they work through their guilt, then they realize that there is a connection to be made, some ideas about how to strengthen that connection, move through that, and then some lovely resources. I thought it was really important for the book to be kind of like a therapeutic intervention for folks. So it starts so it starts out with every chapter has either a quote or a poem that will sort of reinforce, prepare folks to connect to that particular chapter. And some of them are very emotional. And I've had
I noticed that.
oh my gosh, I was crying. And it's okay to cry because it's so soothing and healing. And you're getting out those painful emotions and feeling sort of this rush of emotion. I find myself, when I have these grief bursts, it's welcome because I feel so much better after it happens. There's that jolt of pain or jolt of grief, and then there's like this overwhelming feeling of relief, joy, and then the really great memories. So it starts like that. And at the end of each chapter, there are workbook exercises to help folks sort of reconnect with parts of that chapter that will help them reinforce, the information in the chapter. Then I thought, well, you know what, wouldn't it be cool to write a book that was not only that, but a memory book and a journal as well. So in the back of the book, there's a memory page. They could put a picture of their pet. It's so comprehensive. And then there's a journal page for every chapter in the book that, folks can write out their thoughts and their feelings, or, journal a little bit about what they've experienced, go back to a chapter, maybe let it resonate a little bit. You don't have to read the book all at once. You take it one chapter at a time, and then give yourself a day or a couple of weeks to sort of let that, trickle into yourself, and then maybe journal a little bit, or put down some things to work through that process. And then at the end of the book, there are a lot of resources. There are songs, there are poems, there are websites. I have a website that has some really cool stuff on it. Oh, and I did want to mention that I have most of the pets that I mentioned in the book, I have photos of them on the website in the gallery. So I thought it would be really neat for people to be able to see what those pets look like. And the folks that graciously offered stories that I talk about in the book, I reached out to them and said, do you have a photo of your pet? Do you have a photo of yourself with your pet? So I've had the opportunity to memorialize them on my website. And that's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Really lovely. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Beautiful. When people have to make that decision to let their animal go, and I know in my case, I knew it was time, because the morning of, I telepathically, she told me, she said, let me go. I heard her in my head. Absolutely. Without a doubt, I knew the time was coming because she told me. And so and then it was confirmed by her vet later in the evening. But for people who don't have that chance to receive that confirmation from their animal, and they have to make that decision, what kind of advice can you give people to come to peace with that?
Yeah, that's probably one of the toughest things that any pet lover, pet owner will go through. I talk a little bit about seeing the look, where you had more of a telepathic. Mine was always looking at my pet and they gave me a certain look and I knew that they were ready. And I mentioned a couple of those moments that happened in the book. But from strictly a sensory standpoint, there is a quality of life scale in the book. You can talk to your veterinarian about certain signs. There are a couple of things also, if they're not eating, drinking, pooping, peeing, if they don't come up and run up to you, if typically their behavior, if you have a great behavior change in your pet. I'm always thinking about in terms of dogs, but not necessarily you're going to have your bird, running up to you at the door. But anything that you're used to experiencing, maybe they're flying up to the door, which is cool. But any really sort of dramatic behavior change. I know that one of the things that I noticed about Winnie, which she would sit in the middle of the living room and just kind of stare at the walls for a while. And then, there are more dramatic things that can happen. And, I don't really want to talk about all those really super sad things, but talking it through with a supportive pet friend, as I mentioned, your veterinarian very often are very helpful. At the end of Winnie's life, I had 2 quality of life evaluations done by 2 different vets at one point. And then, because she never gave me the look, and I was waiting for her to give me the look. And then finally, when it did appear that she was going down a little bit more than she had been before, I brought her back to the vet and we talked about it. And it turned out, as you said, the vet validated that she had a condition that would warrant me, making that decision. But one of the things that I've discovered, and it gives me a lot of peace, is you're never going to make the wrong decision. And I mentioned earlier in the show that, it's always better to be one day too early than it is a few days too late when it comes to, ending your pet's suffering. That's the most loving thing you can do for your beloved friend, is say, and we're lucky in a sense that we can do that for our pets. We can make that decision. But for some people, a lot of people, there's so much guilt around having to make that final decision. So again, if you can make that little shift into thinking, you're ending your pet's suffering, that is what we want to do for the creature that gave us all this unconditional love for all these years, and took us through some of the more painful parts of our lives and things like that. So I'm I'm delighted that I can think of it in those terms, and therefore it kind of assuages that guilt that we might have for feeling like, boy, I made the final decision. And I have a lovely story. A very, very dear friend of mine, they took their dog to, well, actually their veterinarian came to their home. That's lovely, to help with the euthanasia of their pet. And the morning that they decided to do that, the veterinarian came to the house later that afternoon, and the dog, his name was Wilbur, and Amy and Pat will know this, all of a sudden started acting more like Wilbur and having a little bit better afternoon. And she and Amy began to get a little nervous about the decision that they had made, and asked her husband, he said, well, maybe it's not the right time because he seems to be doing so well. And Pat said to her, wouldn't it be great to have his last day be a good one?
Oh,
And
yeah.
immediately she felt at peace with that decision. And that, I felt, was a very, very important insight that he gave to her, because very often I have found that same thing. I've brought my dog to the vet when it was close to time, and all of a sudden he seems to perk up and everything is great. But I would rather it be a good day than a not so good day.
Yeah,
So I've always
absolutely.
felt at peace with that decision, looking at that way.
Yeah. Tearing up to say.
I know. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know.
But I have to say, it's a beautiful book, and the way that, in what you said earlier too, you just go at your own pace and do as much as you can, as much as you want to do, whatever you feel comfortable with. And I was very conscious about what you were doing with the perfectly placed poems. It was just very cathartic, sort of cracking open your heart a little bit, because I know I've been kind of guarded with trying not to cry about my dog the past few weeks. But so thank you for holding space through your book to do that.
And it really is okay. That part, that the crying part, is really part of the healing that goes along with it. So I said, cry your eyes out. Even when kids come to see me in my counseling practice at the school and they start crying, it's like, that's okay. Please do that. It doesn't make me feel uncomfortable. It's okay. And that is really something that is going to help move you through that process so much more quickly and easily. So cry away, Laura. It's okay. It's okay. And typically they're just bursts anyway.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they are.
It's not something where you're, crying for hours and hours. And if you are, I mean, the book is not a substitute for a real therapeutic intervention if you need one. If you find yourself, feeling very depressed, you're in your bed, you can't, think straight, you're really having some difficulty, it really is important to reach out to a professional. There are professional support counselors, therapists, social workers that do specialize in grief therapy for pets. I know that the local hospice right up the street from where I live has a pet support group. Get yourself involved in something like that, because, there are people now, especially in the days of COVID, and there are a lot of single people out there, their pet is their significant other. And if something happens to their pet and they transition for whatever reason, that could be something that could throw them into a depressive state that might need a little bit more support than the book. The book would be a nice ancillary addition to their therapeutic process, either within a group or with an actual therapist. So it's not meant to be a substitute for that, but I think for somebody who is having moderate grieving, even at the beginning, a little bit of acute grieving, it's typically fine for that.
I'm glad you said that, because some people might actually feel like it's strange to actually reach out for help because their animal passed. But I don't think it's the same. Grief is grief, no matter what.
Absolutely. And as I've said, I mean, some people's pets are their significant other. And when that happens, it is a significant experience in their life that they may need some real support around. And so that's really, really important. I do like the fact that one of the things, and I just love this about the book, so I'm gonna share it. I thought it was really important to have this really cool little inscription page at the beginning. And of course, I've been enjoying it because I've done a lot of book signings and I get to sign there. But I thought that, people can buy this book for themselves, and I encourage you to do that, especially if you're going through this or you think it might be happening soon. But this makes a really great gift for somebody. So the inscription page was specifically put there intentionally for somebody to gift this to someone as they would a card. And a card is lovely, but this is going to be a comprehensive process for somebody to get through the difficult times that they're going to go through after that happens. And what a beautiful thing to do for a friend is to give them a book like this. I mean, you can give them a card too. That's nice too. But I just think, and it will give them an opportunity to put some heartfelt things in there as they would a card. So that was really important to me, that folks felt like they could give this as a gift as well to people in their lives that need it.
Yeah, it really would be a beautiful gift for somebody. Yeah. Really. Let me just, Bella says, what did she say? Personally, losing my Ted after 16 years has hit me harder than losing some humans. I wish more people would understand they are family.
Yes. Yeah. And thank you, Bella Karen. I know her personally. And thanks for being on the show with us today. And I know losing Ted has been hard for you. So I'm hoping the book gave you some peace and comfort around that. She was one of the first people to buy the book, and I'm really grateful for that. So that was really nice.
I know when I've done connections for people, mediumistic sessions for people, and I'll bring through grandma and dad and everybody and their cousin and their aunt, and then I'll land at the very end and I'll bring through their collie, and they'll just fall apart. Yeah. They were fine up until that point.
It's people that are not pet people don't connect with that. But the folks that are watching tonight, they know what you're talking about. And that's so true. Absolutely true. So this is just, what a delightful conversation. I love it. I'm thinking about a couple of things to follow up the Pet Soul book.
Ask you what's next.
Yeah, I thought to myself, well, wow, this has been great. And I'm really getting excited, as we are now vaccinating ourselves against COVID. I'm eager to go out on the road at some point and do some book signings. And I have a dear friend of mine that just wrote a book too, and we want to do some book signings together. And that's going to be a blast. And I have been able to do a little bit of that, but I want to do more of that. But I'm thinking about a couple of inspired thoughts that I've had around following up to the Pet Soul book would be maybe working on a workshop that I can hold in conjunction. It can be online. That would be really fun based on the book. I'm in kind of the planning stages of an idea to do a children's Pet Soul book. And I have a YouTube channel, but I haven't done much with it. So maybe doing some YouTube stuff would be really fun, and doing maybe a compilation of Pet Soul stories. I have a bunch of stories in the book, but it would be really neat to actually do a compilation book of all of those stories and then some new ones. Because since I've written it, of course, people have, they're on my Facebook page. The Pet Soul book has a Facebook page, and my personal Julie Moore page, and on the website. I'm hearing more and more stories of these incredible stories of connection. And I did have a dog come through in my dream, or there's a lovely story of a woman who was really grief stricken over the passing of her pet that came up to me at a dog show. And I took her through some of the ideas. This is even pre-publishing of the book. And it was amazing how quickly she went from this very grief-stricken state to, I think I may be ready to get another dog. And of course, her husband was like, oh my goodness, I have my wife back. And that was just so powerful to see.
How does that feel to be part of that helping people take that leap?
Oh my God. That's where I get emotional. Because I'm getting a little emotional.
I'm getting emotional.
When you feel like you've helped facilitate somebody's growth and
Yeah.
shift in their thoughts that's going to change the way they feel about life and death. Because, really, when we think about it, I think you feel the same way. I mean, death is a part of life. We all experience it. It's not something that some people die, but other people don't, or some people, pets die and we all go through it. So if we can find a way to incorporate the idea of death into its part of life, and how do we move through that more gently and smoothly, and it's not this process where we're just destroyed or we're in the fetal position in our bed crying for months and years,
Exactly.
then how much more joy are we going to feel in our lives? And that's part, I hope, that I've given to others, and the gift that and hopefully the legacy of my life is that I can give this gift to somebody to shift their thoughts and their feelings in a way that they will look at death perhaps a little differently.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. That's a great spot to end right there. Thank you so much, Julie, for taking the time. It's an honor to talk with you, and keep up the good work. I think you got another 4 books in you, I swear. I feel like you've got,
I
think
hope
you've got a lot
so.
of books coming.
Laura, thank you. I've been honored to be on your show. This has been so much fun and so great. Hope a lot of people learned, and hope those folks feel like this is a book that maybe will change their life, and that would be an honor for me.
Wonderful. Beautiful. Thank you.
So
The
much.
good work is amazing. Thank you so much for writing this book. And I think I'm going to be writing a lot of these and gifting them to people.
Thank you so much. That would be amazing. Really.
So if anybody wants to learn more about the book, it's thepetsoulbook.com to learn more about Julie's book. Thank you so much, Julie.
Thank you, Laura, so much. This has been absolutely joyful. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.
Good night.